This guy talks about systems. Okay, I'm going to give two different stories about systems, and the first one is going to come from the book It Starts With Why. The author's name is Simon Sinek. He's done a couple of TED Talks. Anyway, he talks about this story of the Japanese car industry. We're going to travel to Japan, and we're going to see what the heck they're doing better. Why are they doing it better? So I'll tell you a little bit about the assembly line of the American car companies, right? So, you're trying to build this car. So you've got like this, and then you've got this, and so all these parts are put on, right? And at the very end of the line, there's like some guy. He's not going to be happy because his job sucks. All he does is he stands basically at the end of the line, and he checks all the parts, make sure that everything's been put on right. Tinkers things with like a mallet, and checks to make sure that the car is running smoothly. Sounds logical, right? Well, they go to Japan. Japan basically has the same processes, right? Except for they don't have this guy. So the American car people are like, well, who checks the car, make sure it works? And the Japanese people did not understand why there should be somebody at the end of the line. Like, why would someone be at the end of the line? And so the Japanese people are like, well, we ensure that the product is good from the process from the beginning. They plan every single aspect of it. They perfected every single aspect of each one of these steps to ensure that nothing would go wrong, right? So it's the planning and the preparation, right? Like that is the key factor for success at the end. So our success at the end has a lot to do with our planning at the beginning, right? So meal prepping. I hate meal prepping. It's like one of the most annoying things in the world. But I know that if I don't prepare a meal, if I show up to work without any food, guess where I'm going to eat? Qdoba. Okay? Sometimes Taco Bell, but I won't talk about it, right? So I'm going to go across the street. I'm going to go somewhere, and I'm going to pick up, junk food. Is this going to help me stay lean, muscular, energetic, vibrant, intelligent, athletic, and happy? No, it's not. Okay? But if I had taken some time, maybe an hour, maybe 30 minutes the evening before, 30 minutes before I come into work, and I, put food in Tupperware or whatever it is, then what happens? I eat that food. Now, if I'm planning, right, to work towards my goal, if I'm actually sitting there working on a plan, then I'm going to, more than likely, get a positive result. Okay? So you can't just, at the end of the day, all of a sudden add up all your calories and go, oh, wow, I'm over by like 1,000 calories today. I guess I'll try to run on a treadmill for 3 hours, right, or however long it takes to burn 1,000 calories. Right? So then you're stuck having not a good product. So it's a system, right? There's a system that goes into it. What was this? I can't remember the example of the other system. It'll come to me. So let's talk about what system stands for. This is why I love acronyms, right? So save yourself some time, energy, and money. When it comes to health and fitness, how much time, energy, and money have we really put into getting better, right? So the diet book industry alone is a multi-billion-dollar per year industry. Billions of dollars. Billions, I tell you. And they're like, what's new about the human physiology each year? Not a daggone thing, right? So what are these diet books selling us? Why do we continually buy diet books? Why do we continually educate ourselves? And they're cheap, right? So at most they're going to be like $20. So it's not like I'm spending $1 billion of it, but you know what? There's not that many billions of people on the planet. So I'm going to assume that some people are buying multiple books multiple times a year. Not seeing any progress, right? Because if the first diet book they got them to where they needed to go, then they wouldn't buy the second diet book. Okay? So it's either a problem with the psychology of the buyer or a problem with the process or the system of the book, or some combination thereof, right? So we're spending a low amount of money, but we're wasting a high amount of time. over and over again. I read the book, I try this diet, and it doesn't work. I read this book, I try this other diet, and it doesn't work. I read this book, I try this. So you see how it goes. And then think about the amount of effort and energy that goes into, and the amount of frustration that can happen when I don't make permanent change or permanent progress. It's especially hard if I'm going back and forth, right? So we need to systemize, we need to create a system that at the end we can predict the outcome. Right? So if we can predict the outcome, then we can make things quite a bit easier for us. Okay, so I have a system, and I'll tell you before I start touting my system, all diets work. In the research, literally all diets work. What makes a diet successful and unsuccessful is the adherence to the diet. It doesn't matter what the diet is. It could be the dumbest diet in the whole world, like I'm only going to eat Twinkies diet. Okay. If you follow a diet plan to the T, the way that is laid out, pretty much all diets work. Think about that for a second. So if all diets work, then how do I choose which diet I should follow? Right? And the answer comes down to, it's personal, right? So what is your current lifestyle? So how do I want to live my life? And I mentioned this before in an earlier lecture, like if I am wanting to go keto, right? Ketosis is one of the more key words, which means basically I'm doing a really high fat diet, pretty moderate protein diet, and like no carbs whatsoever diet, right? Does the keto diet work? For sure it does. Do people lose fat really fast? Absolutely they do. Really, really cool. Now, does that fit in your lifestyle to not eat carbohydrates? Right? Does that fit in your American lifestyle? Like, can you picture yourself living the rest of your life in this lifestyle? Okay, so if the answer is yes, then that's probably a good diet for you. If the answer is no, then you probably need to find a different diet. So in my system, what I want to find is, what is your limiting factor? Right? What is the one thing? What is the weakest link in your chain? So when we think about the weakest link in your chain, like what is, if you had a 1,000-pound dumbbell hanging over top of your favorite little dog, right? You're not going to spend effort trying to make each and every single chain stronger. You're only going to focus on the one link that's going to break first. So in your lifestyle, in your dietary habits, what's missing? What's most important? What is most essential? And that essential question is essential, okay? So what is essential, right? So we got vitamins. We got minerals. Okay, and I'll talk about vitamins and minerals is in a study of, I can't remember how many thousands of Division I athletes, they found that 0%, meaning not a single soul, not one person out of all these Division I high athletic performing athletes met the RDI, the recommended daily intake of vitamins and minerals. Okay, now they met some, but not, so the minimum, there were always at least 3 outright deficiencies. Think about that for 1 second. These athletes, right, high performing people, and the RDI, we can make an argument that RDI is not designed for optimal health, right? The RDI is designed to prevent disease, right? So they're not even reaching the amount of nutrients that prevents disease, right? And they're expected to perform at an optimal level. And it's amazing how the human body can function when it's not even given all that it's supposed to be given. That's miraculous to me. But my point being is, if these college athletes aren't meeting their requirements of vitamins and minerals, do you think you are? Do you think anyone on this earth is? Probably not, right? So what we need to focus on is, all right, well, let's ensure, first of all, that we're preventing disease, but we live in a first world country, meaning preventing disease, guys, come on, like it's disrespectful to third world countries to just prevent disease. That's their goal. Their goal is to be able to prevent disease and then be able to function optimally. So if we have the opportunity to function optimally, well, then we should exceed sometimes the RDI and focus on what's the most appropriate and optimal levels of these vitamins and minerals. So these are essential. So if someone's missing that in their diet, I would say that would be the first thing that I would want to add into it. So that's part of the systems, is figuring out what's missing and replacing it. Okay, step number 1. So other things that are important, and we talked about this earlier, which is essential amino acids, essential fatty acids, and water. Okay, and I'm going to add, I always add this on here because people don't realize how important sleep really truly is to our entire physiology, right? So I can take a supplement for vitamins and minerals and a supplement for amino acids and essential fatty acids. I have to actually just drink water. I can't take a pill for water. And I have to actually just sleep. So of all of these things, which one's going to kill me first? Which one would I die from not having enough of first? Is it going to be water or sleep? And the reason I put sleep on here is because you're going to die of lack of sleep first. So if I literally don't sleep for 72 hours, I'm saying like I don't even get like nothing, I'm just wide awake, the lethal dose of 50% of the population is going to die of lack of sleep. Okay, brain inflammation. When you sleep, it reduces inflammation. If I'm too inflamed, my brain can't function, and eventually my heart or something else of my essential organs is going to stop, and I'm going to die. Okay. So water, you know, I can live about 3 to 5 days without water, and the LD50 of sleep is about 72 hours. So, almost all Americans don't get enough sleep, optimal amounts of sleep, right? Like, we're getting enough sleep to prevent, like, dying from lack of sleep, obviously, but are we getting enough sleep to function optimally? Right? So that's another focus of ours, is like, all right, well, let's focus on sleep. And then we're going to take it all the way down another rabbit hole. Like, what prevents sleep? Well, stress. Okay? What does sleep help with? Stress hurts sleep and blah, 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 right? So some of these things we have to dig a little bit deeper, like, well, why am I not sleeping? Well, it's because I'm stressed. Why am I stressed? Well, it's because of this external environment that I cannot accept. So then I teach you the serenity prayer, and then, or it's some internal environment thing that I can't control, whether it's I'm speaking unkindly to myself, I'm not eating well, I'm not putting forth enough effort, and it's all cyclical, okay? So, and there's a whole link between vitamins and minerals and sleep and water and sleep. I mean, so everything is functioning with everything else, okay? So when it comes to the system, that's what we have to do. We have to systemize, all right? So let's add things into our diet that we might be low in or suboptimal in. Step number 1, right? If I'm able to do that, do I get healthier? Do I feel better? Do I have more energy? Does my body burn calories faster? Yeah, it does, absolutely. So I might actually see physical progress by adding things into my diet, which is completely unheard of, right? Because most people think, I want to lose weight, I need to remove things from my diet. No. Most people need to add in healthier things into their diet. Don't think about the removal of these unhealthy things, okay? Where we can go from there is we can exchange different types of foods, right? So if I don't get to my goal by doing this, then I can figure out, what am I not eating well, right? What am I not eating well? Well, we can talk about exchanging those bad foods for healthier types of foods that give us the same feeling of, oh, I'm happy and it makes me feel better and blah, blah, blah. We can talk about meal timing. We talk about carbohydrate cycling and all kinds of little bit more advanced things. And then eventually we can talk about calorie counting and macro counting and taking things away from us. But we want to focus on the weakest link, right? So strengthen the weakest link first. Then if that 1,000-pound dumbbell's going to fall, still, then you need to work on that second weakest link. Right? But if eventually that dumbbell's not going to fall, then you don't have to put forth any more effort into it. Okay, so once you find an intelligent system, once you get all that built,